Hi ladies, it's Angela here. I want to talk to you today about a topic that if you are dealing with this, it's probably impacting every single aspect of your life. If you are a perimenopausal female or you have just transitioned into menopause and you feel like you are dealing with fluctuating moods day after day, moment after moment, if you are still cycling, it's maybe getting worse at particular points in your cycle, worse than it's ever been, and it's impacting every aspect of your being, you're probably looking for a solution. Do you feel like you are irritable 1 minute, sad, almost crying the next, anxious, jittery, like you want to jump out of your own skin? Sometimes you feel just absolutely crashed out, have no motivation, you feel depressed, you don't know why. It doesn't seem to be warranted for where you're at in your life currently, and you're all over the map from one day to the next. So if this sounds like you, I'm sure it's impacting your relationship with yourself, with your close loved ones. You're probably snapping at them and then you feel guilty afterwards. It's probably impacting your work. I'm sure if you are having these issues, it's impacting your ability to interact with your coworkers, be able to be productive, get things done in your everyday life, your work life. So what can we do about these symptoms of mood imbalance, potentially sometimes being quite severe as a female over 40 moving towards or into that transition into menopause? And why is it happening in the first place? So 2 reasons it's happening. One of them is that your female sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone, they are lowering. There's no doubt they are on the decline. They have been since approximately the age of 35 onward, and they continue to decline as a female well into your 60s, even early 70s. They do start to level out as you get 10, 12 years into the menopausal shift. But again, this is a long time out for someone, especially if you are a female still cycling and you're possibly early to mid or even late 40s. So what can we do to help you get your mood back on track? Well, there's many different things that can help you. One thing that does happen as these female sex hormones lower, estrogen lowers progesterone lowers more quickly. It almost is like it jumps off a cliff from about the age of 35, 40 onwards. And our estrogen, although it's lowering, it's fluctuating up and down quite a bit, and it's not lowering quite as quickly as progesterone. So we're actually left with a hormone imbalance as females in this time of life, and this is part of what can really disrupt our mood, especially at particular points in your cycle if you are still cycling. There's a big shift in your hormones right around ovulation for women. You may not be ovulating every cycle, but if you are, you might notice a drastic shift in your mood around 2 weeks after you've had your period start. You probably also will be noticing a big shift in your mood, and this will probably be combined with energy levels and other symptoms too if the hormones are quite out of balance right before you get your period, and possibly even the first 2-3 days into the actual period itself. So really, when you add this all up, there's a considerable amount of time in the month that you may be feeling mentally out of balance. You may be feeling like you're moody, you're just not yourself, and you want a solution. So let's talk about what you could do. There's some really what I call, low-hanging fruit, some easy things that we can do. You may or may not even be aware of them, but they can make a massive difference to balancing these sex hormones as best as possible in this time of life. So what is one thing that actually makes progesterone lower much more quickly? It's stress. If we have a lot of stress, our adrenals are under pressure, we're asking our body to produce a bunch of cortisol to keep up with this stress, our body will actually have our progesterone levels lower more quickly because we're very busy making cortisol versus making sex hormone. So progesterone is one of those ones that gets really impacted by this. So what we need to do, it's easy to say decrease your stress, but it's not always that possible, is it? So we need to have some resiliency techniques. So part of the reason I am giving you this video right now out in nature is because this can be a very simple technique for buffering your stress. Up to 80% of your stress hormone, cortisol, can be buffered very quickly, almost like the snap of a finger, by being out in nature. You don't necessarily have to be, hiking up to the top of a mountain in a forest. It could be too if you live in a city that you get yourself to a park or just somewhere where you can hear the birds chirp, some sort of sound of nature. And that resets our nervous system, resets our cortisol, brings us more into the parasympathetic side of our nervous system, which is more the calming part of our nervous system versus the more amped up and anxious nervous side of our nervous system, and it floods our vagal nerve tone, which again helps to keep us calm and regulated. So it doesn't have to be long. You could get out there for a minute or 2 minutes, listen to the sounds of the birds, listen to the chipmunks running around, or whatever type of nature you may have depending on where you live. Ideal bonus points, for you, if you have the time and ability to go for a walk in nature, 20-30 minutes is all you really need. And this has massive positive impacts on influencing our cortisol, which can help to keep our stress hormone more balanced relative to our sex hormones. So progesterone has a chance of not declining so quickly if we're not putting ourselves under this much stress and not balancing it on a daily basis. So again, I know it's easier said than done, but this is low-hanging fruit. It doesn't take long. It's just something we have to be aware of. And, again, for some people, it may not be that you can get out in nature, but if it's not, find something else that calms your nervous system almost instantaneously. So it may be having a cold shower. It may be, creating your own cold plunge setup. That also can reset nervous system tone and vagal nerve tone. So again, we've got to find what works for each individual. So this is my suggestion to you, and this is what I've seen work for myself and what I educate my clients to work on, and they have positive impacts almost instantaneously on their nervous system, and then some of those symptoms leading up to their and during their period, especially from a mood perspective. Another thing that we can do right away to help with the balancing of this estrogen and progesterone, it ties right into this, but it's movement. So we have to have some sort of movement in our everyday life, regardless of how busy and fast-paced your life is. If you're not moving your body at all, you actually are not moving your hormones to keep them balanced. So this is really important for estrogen, because for females, our estrogen can be quite a bit higher than progesterone as females over 40. Again, and that can have huge impacts on our mood. If we are really estrogen dominant, we're going to feel more moody, more anxious, more angry, more snappy. So if you feel like this, you probably have a significant estrogen dominance. So there's some things that you can do to flush some of this estrogen out. And again, one of them, it doesn't necessarily have to be in nature. If you can do both at the same time, that's great. Getting out in nature to calm that stress hormone cortisol, as well as bringing in some exercise to help the body move and mobilize and balance estrogen with progesterone. But you can do this at home. You could go up and down the stairs in your house. You could go for a walk around your neighborhood. If it's really cold and unfavorable conditions outside, it's winter like where I am, you could definitely go to a gym. You could use a treadmill. You could use an indoor cycling apparatus, or something that you find works best for your body. So again, these are really simple and easy tasks to do, but we have to get consistent with them. And so this is where we often fall off, is we try and bring some of these things in from time to time, but we're not consistent enough to actually see changes. So I really encourage you may need a buddy to help you get consistent. If it's something in regards to exercise, you may need to download an app to help you with getting consistent with some of your stress resiliency strategies. Again, you may need to meet up with someone to get yourself out of your desk, out into nature, or just outside in general, to help give you some of that stress resiliency buffering from just getting out of that setting indoors. So super simple, easy enough to say, sometimes hard to put in place consistently. But these things can have massive positive impacts on your hormones, as well as looking a little deeper into why you have these severe imbalances with mood in the first place. So I always suggest for women that have mood imbalance that we are actually doing detailed lab testing to look at the balance between estrogen and progesterone in particular. We all have lowering sex hormones, if you're a female over 40 especially, but we don't all have the same unique pattern of how our hormones are lowering and balanced with each other. So this is where we rely on lab testing to understand how to develop a unique and individualized solution for you so that you can get lasting results with your mood shifts. I see so many women that are anxious, irritable, depressed one minute, crying, up and anxious all night the next, who really learn how to balance out these hormones in this time of life for years to come. So it's not that you just have to accept that this is part of this time of life and that you're going to be moody from here on in because your hormones are changing so much. There is a way to get the balance back, but we usually do need to do you, customize lab testing, and create an individualized strategy for you in regards to getting your hormones back into balance. So if you are looking to get to that place where you want to balance your mood, you want to feel good in your own body, good for yourself, but also others around you, and you want to feel this way for the long term, you want to feel more happy, not sad and down and depressed, please feel free to reach out to me. So I'm a female as well in this time of life, and I work with women all the time to help them get their hormones back into balance, especially in the perimenopause, menopause transition. I'd be happy to help you. You can go to my website, www.angelasimpsonfunctionalmedicine.ca, and that's a place where you can book a free complimentary consult where we talk about your health, we talk about your symptoms, and we talk about what we could do potentially to get you back into balance with your body, what that would look like, what the next steps are, what labs we need to run, and how we would develop a plan to get you to where you want to get to with your goals. So please feel free to reach out to me anytime. If you haven't already, please like me on my socials. So like me on my YouTube channel, Angela Simpson Functional Medicine, my Instagram channel, my Facebook business page, my TikTok. And if you haven't already, please join my group, Functional Medicine for Hormonal Imbalances. This is a place where there's an awesome group of females, 7,000 members, that are asking some of the same questions as you about their hormone health and balance and how to get the answers. So we go through some strategies week after week to get you there. Thanks so much, ladies. I'll see you again soon. Have a good rest of your day. I hope you can get out and see some form of nature or the outdoors, whether it be sunshine, it may not be, but try and get out, and just even if it's for a minute or two, just to reset that nervous system. Bye for now. Have a good rest of your day.